So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Let us recap the most recent events that have taken place in this grand city of Orlustran. Our intrepid heroes began their evening with what they thought would be just a normal dinner with friends and family, until they found themselves embroiled in a very tense ambush. Not only were their lives at stake, but the shock of the ambush was devastating to them emotionally as well. The aftermath of this skirmish was grim, and although they were successful, bodies had to be disposed of and harsh decisions were made, including the slitting of a throat to ensure their safety. A very gruesome task that haunted Adie and forced her to perhaps consider some of her past. With the danger temporarily at bay, the group made a swift retreat into the sewers. Guided by Mira, they found refuge in a secret spot that had been revealed to her some time ago. And here, amidst the damp and darkness, they took stock of their situation. Their friends, Phelan and Vonik, had been captured and brutally interrogated, likely revealing crucial information that had led to the ambush. And despite their dire situation, however, hope flickered as Sisk, under their guise of Sienna, scouted the Emerald Gambit Casino where their friends were being held. There, Sisk spotted Leighton, the man who had saved them so long ago, now under the control of a mind-altering headband. As Sisk infiltrated the casino, through careful observation and subterfuge, they gathered crucial information about the captives' locations and the nefarious plans of their captors, Cadreas and Nesner. Returning to the sewer hideaway, Sisk relayed this grim news, and everyone, having learned of the situation their friends were in, the exchange that was planned for the next day involving Leighton, now seemingly working with the dangerous clerical inquisitors, the Nostromo, desperation and resolve filled them as they discussed their plans for a daring rescue. Despite the risks, the group knew they had to act decisively, save their friends before it was too late. But they needed their rest first. Morning came with a sense of foreboding. They packed their belongings, knowing that every second counted, and with the sun's rising, they steeled themselves for the impending confrontation. The plan was mostly clear. Infiltrate the casino by whatever means they could, rescue their friends before the exchange could take place, and then leave the city as quickly as possible. With their mission set, the group reunited with Vonik's life partner, Yoli, who had been anxiously planning their own infiltration of the casino. Together, they navigated through a secret passage leading into the casino basement. There, they found the exchange taking place between Nesner and Leighton, along with some of Nesner's goons. A vicious battle took place, but Adie, having quickly freed Leighton from his mind-altered state, tilted the odds in the party's favor. In the midst of this chaos, the group confronted Nesner, who threatened to kill Phelan, holding a dagger to his throat in exchange for their retreat. When his threats failed to drive the party away, he viciously followed through, slashing Phelan's throat. A fierce battle erupted, with the party fighting desperately to save their friend. In the heat of the struggle, they managed to staunch Phelan's wounds just in time. With a final decisive blast of magic, they also ended Nesner's life. Amidst this fray, Leighton and a transformed shark version of Bren ensured that none of Nesner's cohorts escaped, securing their hard-fought victory. They left the casino basement quickly, secretively, and parted ways with Vonik and Yoli, who went their separate path to ensure safety, ostensibly. Carrying the gravely wounded Phelan, the group then retreated back to their alcove refuge in the sewers, with Bren preemptively heading to his farm to make sure that it was safe. Back in the sewers, Sisk had a tearful goodbye with Leighton, the emotional weight of their ordeal finally catching up to them. Leighton, now free of the oppressive mind control, expressed gratitude and sorrow as he prepared to leave, knowing that their paths would diverge once more, but promised to Sisk and the others that he would delay the Nostromo as much as he possibly could. And there, ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves. Still within the sewers, daylight shining through some of the grates in the nearby sewer tunnel, Balin unconscious, but resting, with Mira watching over them, and 80 against the nearby wall, deep in thought. Sisk perhaps still reeling a little bit from the goodbye with Leighton. Mira, you feel someone enter your mind. You hear a voice echo through it.
I've reached Thaleron's Hollow and have a lead on the lunar steel. I'm moving as fast as I can. You all safe? What's happening?
The quick message from Violet, asking if you're safe. Seemingly a little bit of desperation in their voice. But that's a promise, at least, that they're where they needed to go, and they're tracking down what needed to be found. How would Mira respond?
Mira pulls out the sending stone and just says, "We're safe for now. We're gonna head to the ship. Hope to see you soon."
You sit there looking down at Phelan, breathing steadily, stabilized now, but you can still see the scar of the wound upon their throat. It may never heal. It was deep. It almost ended them. What would the three of you like to do?
Is Phelan sort of conscious, or?
No, Phelan is
No.
out. Yeah.
Okay.
You know that they're going to need their rest before they're going to be able to awaken. That was, their life almost ended then and there. And if it wasn't for very, very quick action, it would have ended.
Okay.
Looking up from the scar on their throat, Mira's gonna look at Sisk. "I owe you."
For what?
For saving them.
Oh, of course. I wouldn't just let them bleed.
I know, but I still owe you.
Well, you can get the next one.
If only I could.
It's I'm sure it's been hard.
It's been complicated. Are you okay?
Yes. Seeing Leighton brought up a lot of memories. They were the one that helped release me, and it was almost like not divine. What's the word? So divine intervention almost is like where they had been keeping me was completely emptied. I didn't have. They had taken the headband off of me. It was a ghost town. I got out of there as quick as I could. I really owed them, and I'm sad I can't help them more, and I probably made things worse overall. But what can you do, right? Just keep moving.
Yep. How long have you been here? Do you know?
Here, you mean the Imperium?
Yeah.
I've been kind of, I was under the thrall of that headband for, I think, was it 3 years? I got out a few months ago. So I say 6 or 7 seasons. But I've been around other places a little longer. I'm excited to show you the world. But we have to, I guess, the scope is a little smaller for now. Are you ready to talk to your parents?
No. That's another complication that I wasn't expecting and I'm not prepared for. But maybe it'll be good.
You have people to lean on. You've always had 80, and now you have Bren and Violet and me. I'd help you in any way. I can still impersonate you and try to pull it off in front of them, but I don't know.
No, I should face them. But if there's anything that I can ever do for you,
I'll let you know.
okay.
But I'm happy to have met you and AT and everyone. Thank you. And your folk too are so strong, and you're so different and so linked, and it's beautiful to see you both as you blossom into beautiful young women. But I should probably give you some time to yourselves. Maybe I'll go learn about moss here in the sewers. I'll go.
An interest of yours?
Hey, it's what's around. I'll get some snacks. It'll be an hour or 2, so. You guys are going to be safe?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be right back.
So Siska's going to go in search of like a food cart or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to get maybe a blanket, get feeling comfortable. We'll see.
I'm assuming that you're not going to use Sienna?
No, just random Joe Schmo.
Right.
Yeah. Lots of freckles. This guy, I say.
All right. So yeah, Sisk departs under some new guys. You see them kind of almost like a painter adjusting their face and form as they depart. Probably would pop. I don't know if it would occur to 80, but it would certainly, I think, occur to Mira that you really have no idea how old Sisk is, because their neutral form, their real form, is almost impossible to tell age. And they could look like anything they want, so who knows? But there the two twins sit.
Adie's just sort of fidgeting with her hands a bit, Definitely lost in thought. She's got a gnarly purple bruise forming over the side of her face and her cheekbone. Her eyes a bit swollen from the brass knuckles that took her out earlier. And she, I don't know, Mira's getting, it's almost like interference in the emotional link, which by now I know you would know is like sort of a masking of it a bit. But you can tell that she's, I don't know, just deep in thought about everything.
You look like shit.
Yeah. How are they doing?
I have no idea.
Sis just left snacks. Is that what I?
Yep.
Okay. And then we'll rest a bit, and then go to Bren's, and then
Take a break.
No. I don't know what to say at this point. Because I'm sorry doesn't feel adequate. But I am.
It's not your fault.
It's also not my fault. I'm sorry about Phelan.
That's my fault.
No, they wouldn't have been there in the first place. That's I'm glad that they're okay. At least enough.
Yeah. I almost got them killed. I did get them killed.
What else were you supposed to do? I mean, I don't think there was a choice. He was gonna do whatever he could. I didn't think he was someone that was capable of that. I knew he was gruff and, kind of a dick, but...
You usually are better at reading people than...
Yeah. I thought so, at least. I miss Violet.
Me too.
I mean, I'm glad she wasn't here for all of this. But I also really wish she was here. I forgot that Mom and Dad are coming.
Yeah. We have a little bit of time before they get here, so that's good at least.
Who thought that traveling through the Siltwood would feel like a needed break? I'm honestly looking forward to it, which feels like I'm asking for trouble, but I need to get out of the city.
Yeah.
Do you think Siska's gonna be okay?
I think so. I think they've been through a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they can be part of our weird little family.
I hope they're glad too. There might be some regrets here and there. Yeah. I'm hoping that since this was my big secret and now it's all out in the open, that perhaps we might catch a break at some point if we're lucky.
Don't jinx it.
Yeah. You look like shit too, you know. In a deep-seated sort of way. That sounds
in an
really
emotional
mean.
way, not a I've got a giant ass bruise on my face way.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe feel better in the morning. Maybe.
Isn't it like 3 p.m. right now?
Yeah, and I don't even necessarily mean
not
tomorrow
even.
morning.
It's probably it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh God, it feels like 1 a.m. So.
I know what happens when you get punched in the face by a dude with brass knuckles.
Yeah.
You can sleep if you want.
I don't know if I'll be able to yet. But I will try. Yeah, I think I'll try. And she'll just sort of go back to her pack and get ready for an afternoon nap.
As 80 rests her head against the her pack, thank you, Stacy UK, for also a gift sub. Varl earlier tossing out a gift sub as well. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much, guys. Starting a hype train too. That's awesome. 80 goes to lay down on her pack. And as her head drifts back, she's used to going through a routine in her mind that kind of shuts everyone out so that it's quiet within, so she doesn't feel everyone's emotions. And even though Mira and Phelan are the only ones nearby, she can feel them pretty intently because of the power of the emotions that are going on for them right now. And so she starts to go through her routine, and as she does so, she feels almost like a suppressing of the emotions of everything around her. Have you ever been hugged so hard that you can't hear the outside quite as much? It sounds just a little bit more muffled. But you can still hear it. You just, can't quite feel it quite so much because of the power of the hug. That's kind of what she's feeling right now as she lays her head back. And there is a distinct warming sensation coming from the ring as her head touches the pack, and she tries desperately to drift off to sleep. Sisk, you're able to very quickly find a food cart with a few different pastries on it and some fresh fruits and such, along with some candied apples and pecans. You're able to pick those up pretty easily. It does take you in a decent proximity of the casino. And so you're, being the person that you are, you're keeping your ears out, trying to listen for any news of anything that has happened, and
Doing a vibe check, as it were.
right, yeah, doing a vibe check on the city, and everything is normal. There's really nothing. Everybody's moving about on the streets like nothing has happened. You're still like almost a full city block away from the casino at this point, but you're able to glance down far enough that you can spot that people are going in and out of the casino's main entrance, at least.
Does it occur to me that it's like when something big happens at a casino, they don't necessarily want to broadcast that? Or could it...
You could do an insight check if you want. And also, thanks to Varl, because he was pushing us over a level on the hype train, I'll say that 300 bits is enough to give everybody an advantage. You have an advantage that you could use if you want to make that disadvantage roll that you normally have to roll into a straight roll.
Yes, I would like to do my disadvantage insight at advantage, please. So just one, right?
Yep.
Not three.
Not three.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay, 13 plus 3, 16.
16, yeah. Your vibe check, it kind of feels like they're keeping things under wraps. Mm-hmm. Given what you know of Cadreus, that isn't entirely unsurprising.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly he wouldn't want anyone to know that someone infiltrated, the basement of his refuge and murdered some people.
A bunch of people, yeah.
So it's also still pretty recent. Like, it's less than an hour old at this point.
Mm-hmm. About the guys that that we killed and dumped in the river, any word about that? Anyone talking about that?
Yes, the fight from last night.
Yeah,
I'll say that you can, find like somebody's selling the news sheets and give a quick glance. And yes, Stacy, we did pick up your emergency advantage earlier. Ian has laid claim to that for now. You're able to take a look at like some of the quick sheets from the news, and there is a little piece of a headline that you pick up that says that the city guard are investigating a disturbing discovery in the at the waterfall.
Oh, perfect. So far down.
Yeah. So
it could never come back to us.
Essentially, just glancing quickly through the article, it's someone found a body caught up in the construction for the walkway that crosses the waterfall, and it's being investigated.
A body.
Yeah. Good night, Stacy. Thanks for joining us.
Night. Okay, that's good for me. I'm gonna probably head back.
I'll also say that you're not able to pick up a blanket per se, but you can pick up a cloak.
Sick. Is it a cool cloak? Can I pick up multiple?
No, very basic. Like
damn.
Basic brown and or gray cloaks is what you can get easily. If you want to take some time and go and find a shop, we can, but I assume you were trying to be quick about it.
Well, we probably need to. I need to try and get a message to Tambra to get me a cloak of billowing so that I can constantly be in the wind. But I'll head back for now. You just want to be close, just in case.
Sure. You're able to pick up a handful of those cloaks, one for each of you, so 4, and take them back. Mira, by the time Sis comes back, you've been sitting there in silence for a bit, kind of just contemplating things. Sis comes back in with a handful of cloaks, and a few tasty treats to help.
They'll go into their, I guess, regular form, their blue form, just to, like, I don't know, try it out. And you seem to be quiet by yourself. Are you doing that weird elf meditation thing?
No, I'm just.
No. Do you need to sleep, or can you do that, or both?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I just want to be around when they wake up.
That makes sense. Can I examine them to see how they're doing, since I...
Yeah, you go to put the cloak on them. You take a look at them. They're stable. Their breathing is, a little bit ragged, but I mean, there's good reason for their breathing to be a little bit ragged. They're not in any shape that you would consider to be dangerous or anything like that. So
just need to sleep it off, as it were.
Yeah,
okay.
they just need to rest, you think?
Well, do you want to take? I can take a shift. I can watch them for you and wake you up if they.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks.
Take a snack.
I will, thanks.
It's nice to wake up next to a crushed cookie.
That is true.
All right.
You all sit in quiet for a little bit. A couple of you munching on some pastry, attempting to rest where you can. Where is Mira sitting in relation to Balin?
Like 3 feet away.
Okay. Was she actually trying to close her eyes and find rest, or not?
I think she'll close her eyes, not expecting to rest. Because she's got a lot going on in her head. But if it happens, great.
Go ahead and do a wisdom saving throw for it. Thanks for the sub, Aaron. Glad you could join us.
13.
Yeah, I'm going to say rest is a little elusive for her right now. And she doesn't really drift off or anything. There's noises down here. There's echoes. There's a lot of strange odors and the like. And so, yeah, it's not particularly easy, especially considering the stress of everything that has happened. So, yeah. Not really keeping full track of time, but a decent amount of time passes, and you hear Phelan beginning to stir. You hear a soft groan of pain come first. And that's enough for at least Mira and Sisk to be alerted that they're starting to awaken.
Mira has the biggest urge to hover and knows that is not going to be the best option at this point. So
but does she do it anyway?
Sit there.
We're talking about Mira.
What do you want me to roll for it?
You don't have to. You can decide. It's up to you.
I think she's able to hold back enough. I think she is just
roll for clingy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Nonetheless, you are pretty close by. You see them kind of reaching an arm up from underneath of the cloak, and they kind of pull it down to their chest and, are squeezing it pretty tightly as they attempt to sit up and start to open their eyes. They're a little bit woozy. They kind of tip a little bit to the side and just barely catch themselves before, almost hitting their head on some nearby stonework. And they barely open their eyes and start to look around. As soon as they see Mira, they stop looking around. They just stare at her. And you can tell very clearly that they're almost on the verge of tears.
Are you okay? Oh, that's a stupid question. Of course you're not okay. Think we're safe for now. Can I get you some water, or apparently we have cookies?
Oh. Water would be good.
And I'll immediately pass over a canteen.
Yep. They take a very long drink from it, and you can tell just from their expressions that even drinking hurts for them at this point. And they slowly stop and kind of just hand the water skin back to you. Thank you, Canadian Ancient Gamer, for the bits. That's another round of advantages for everyone. Welcome in, Patrick. Thank you so much. They just kind of stare at you for a very long moment and then kind of glance around the room, and they realize where they're at, and then they look back at you with a bit of surprise on their face.
It was the only place I could think of to go.
It's a good one. Not many people know about it. Oh, God, that hurts. Is everyone okay?
Ish.
They look around the room. They see that Bren isn't here. And is Sisk still in Sisk form or back in Sienna form? Because Phelan was unconscious when Sisk was knocked unconscious.
Yeah. I think when they were starting to kind of unsettle, they would have switched.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's a good question. Caught me.
Hey, thanks for the gift subs. Much appreciated. Everybody's so awesome in this channel. I love it. As they kind of look around the room, they look back at you, Mira, and say, what about Bren? Where's Bren?
He went back to his farm. He didn't want to wait.
All right.
We're gonna try and meet him there.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just and they try and sit up.
We don't have to go right now. I know we have to go soon, but you basically died, so
I feel that. Yeah. Thank you, Glass Jaws, also for the subs, and another one from Canadian Ancient Gamer. Wow. Glass Jaws, did you give subs without being subbed yourself? That's amazing. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, as they try to sit up, you can tell that they're weak and having a difficult go of it, but they do manage to fully sit upright. And they cough a fair bit before turning back to Mira. I didn't want to tell them anything. You know that, right? I tried to... I held out as long as I could.
What did you tell them?
I told them that you were heading to your brother's for dinner.
Is that it?
Well, I heard that they sent people after you.
Yeah.
So when you ask, is that it? Isn't that enough?
Those people wound up in the canal.
Right?
And they won't be heard from again.
Okay.
Same with Nesner and all the people who were with him.
You killed him?
I wish I did. Bren did.
Okay. All the more reason to get out. Who was the clerical man? What was his situation? I didn't understand any of that.
It's a long story. He was a friend of Sisk's and was being controlled by a headband. I think Edie still has. So I don't know what we're going to do with that. But Edie got it off of him and he helped us, and he's going to try to give us as much time as we can to get out of the city.
All right. Are you okay?
Me.
Yeah, are you?
Physically, I guess. Took a couple hits, but I feel fine.
All right. Look, I never wanted any harm to come to you. And I'm sorry if, I'm sorry that you had to come and save me.
We were actually there for Vonik and Leighton, so... No, that's not true. I would have burned down that whole place. And instead I basically got you killed, so that's something.
I mean, I don't know what I would have done in your shoes if our positions had been reversed. That was... I can't even comprehend what you were thinking about when he told you to leave. If it matters at all, glad that you didn't.
Wild dogs couldn't have dragged me out of that room.
I'm pretty scared right now. I don't recall ever being this scared before. I've had to deal with some things. We absolutely need to go, but just want you to know that I don't know how much help I'm going to be, in all honesty.
We're badass now. You're safe with us.
That you are. All right. What was his name?
Who?
Man that,
Nesner?
Right. Nesna. Good riddance. Is Burke safe? Did anything happen to Burke and Victoria?
I don't think so. I sent them a message when I sent you one, and Victoria responded. And she's got connections, so as much as I don't like her, she seemed committed to keeping Burke safe, so I'll check in when I can.
All right. Yeah, I mean, what little I know about her, if she has a heads up, she's pretty formidable too. Is she okay? He kind of nods his head towards 80.
She can function. I think she's a bit of a mess. She like straight up murked a guy, like face to face. It was not great for her. I think she's gonna be dealing with that for a while. And she thinks that this is all her fault, and so she's just sending waves and waves of guilt my direction, and it's...
How is
she
this
had
all
a history,
her fault?
she had a history with... She knew Nesner before. She used to kind of work with him. She would gamble and win money, and she was part of this whole... I don't know. She didn't tell me about it until recently, so...
I mean, I knew that she liked to play cards, but... guess I couldn't see her getting wrapped up with someone like that.
So if you want to, just make her feel as rotten as possible for getting your throat slit, I mean, probably don't. That's not... Anyway. She
No.
has this, I don't, she's like facing the other way right now, but she's got this amazing bruise on her face. She got hit in the face with breast knuckles. She looks pretty great.
All right. Well, should we wake her up then and maybe get going?
Are you ready to go?
I don't know. We kind of have to, don't we? Doesn't
Yeah.
feel like a situation that allows you to rest. How long was I out, by the way?
Couple of hours.
Right. Okay. Yeah. They go to start trying to force themselves to stand up, and it's a bit of a struggle.
Listen. Yes, we need to leave as soon as we can, and also, like, you're gonna draw attention if you can't even stand up.
I've got to do something, Mira. I can't sit here helpless, okay? Please.
Don't slow us down.
All right.
You know I'm joking, right?
Do now. And they kind of shift over onto all fours and slowly start trying to leverage themselves up to a standing position.
Mira's gonna go over and help them stand up.
As soon as you come and like reach out and grab their arm and help pull them up, you feel an immediate sense of like tensing in their body at your touch. And they falter a bit. You hold on to them and like there's an awkward moment where they don't seem to know what to do until they, get their feet from under them and stand fully up with Mira's help. They stop. They don't move. They don't take any steps or anything. They just turn and face Mira and stare down at her for a very long moment. Reach up and grab onto her shoulders and pull her in close and squeeze her tightly into a hug.
Mira will return the hug, probably a little too tightly, knowing that they almost died.
As you're holding them, you can hear how shallow and ragged their breathing is. And even though Mira knows she's probably causing them not insignificant amount of pain from the tight squeeze, they're just enduring it. What's Sis doing during this?
They're respectfully looking away. They're honestly, like I was doing earlier, like, oh, okay. And I think they had initially, when Phelan woke up, they were like very weakly, like trying to poke 80 with their foot to like wake her up, maybe. And then things got intense. And then at the end there, they were like almost kicking 80, trying to get them awake. And now they're...
Yeah, 80 wakes up and rolls over, seeing Phelan standing up with Mira and both of them embracing.
She is chill for a second because this is new and old at the same time, and precarious. So I think she just waits it out. Yeah. But Mira, you would definitely feel the emotional equivalent of a ooh.
I'm gonna, like, behind my back, just flip 80 off.
As the embrace lessens, Balin kind of takes a half step back. They look down at the floor, see the cloak that had been draped over them down on the ground, and they go to reach down for it and practically fall back into Mira, barely catching themselves, and then they're like, just hang on. And then they will a mage hand into existence painfully that goes down and scoops the cloak up for them.
Mira's gonna grab their face and be like, if you fall over while we're out there because you pushed yourself too hard, I will kill you.
Duly noted. As they like drape their cloak over their shoulders.
She's gonna like offer her shoulder as a crutch for them to use.
I think this is when 80 would actually get up and help, like she did when they were getting back here, and just scoop under the other shoulder.
I mean, they accept the stabilizing help, but like they do try to stand on their own and get the cloak drawn over their shoulders and such, and they start to like pull up the hood and just check it and see how far it comes down. You get a sense that they're almost going into a survival mode as like an instinct that they've had to, kind of shield themselves and hide and, move secretively and stuff before, and this is like kind of a natural instinct of theirs to protect themselves as they're getting ready to leave. Right. Is that a candied apple I smell?
Yeah, I got everyone some sweet treats.
Brilliant. I'll take one. And they just like hold their hand out.
Also, I'm gonna hand them out, offering them.
They just take a bite into it and kind of savor the flavor. They choke a little bit and cough and have to like take another swig of water and such. But you can see that from the exertion and whatnot, they are slowly coming back into their own.
Do you have anything that you need before we leave the city?
Well, I mean, when those assholes took me, they tossed my things into the canal, so right now it's what I've got. And that's enough for now. I'm assuming if we can make it to the farm, we'll be able to get some supplies and such for whatever journey that we have to take.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Are you gonna fall over?
No, I'm not gonna fall over. I might stumble a bit, but I'm not gonna fall over.
We're ready to go when you are.
Are you? And he kind of just glances towards 80 and Sienna.
80 looks like she desperately wants to say something. And she's been standing there. And eventually, I think, with that acknowledgement, she would just sort of rush forward and give Phelan the gentlest tight hug that she can, and just say, I'm glad you're okay. I'm so sorry that you got dragged into my mess.
Hey, it's it's fine. We'll talk about it. Right now, I think we just focus on finding this farm and meeting back up with Bren, right? We can get out of the city.
Yeah. Okay.
As they pull away, you can see them tightening the cloak further over them, as basically their tunic is just, drenched in dried blood. So,
I'll help with that a little bit with some magic.
Oh, I thought you were going to start using your hands.
No, I will definitely use magic.
Yeah, prestidigitation can help it enough that they can cover it with their cloak, but the tunic's pretty much ruined, so.
My clothes aren't a high enough thread count, I think, so I'm going to keep mine on.
What damage did Mira take?
She had 8 damage. From I don't remember.
I think it was the blast of something from the cleric, wasn't it?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, okay. She's a bit singed. Yeah, because it was there was some fire, a pillar of fire and radiance that blasted her. So she's a little bit singed from that. Yeah, you see them doing their best at this moment, and as long as they can keep moving forward, you think that they will be okay. Who's leading the way?
I mean, I can.
Wonderful.
She says with blood and bruises all over her face.
I'm going to get too used to this way back in and out. I've done it a lot lately. I'm sick of it.
It's a nice little spot. He kind of glances towards Mira.
It has its charms.
So you all head out, making your way out of the sewers once more, heading towards the nearest canal as quickly as you can muster, whilst doing your best not to draw too much attention to yourselves. Doesn't take too long. Pretty easy enough. Like I had said before, the town doesn't seem to really be reacting to whatever the events were of the past, 15, 16 hours. Everybody's just going about their day as usual. You get a few glances here and there, particularly because Phelan has the cloak up. And, people don't like it when they see other folks hiding their face and hiding their ears. But doesn't stop you. No one does anything. You find yourselves getting close to a nearby street, not too far from where Sisk had scouted earlier. You can see the peaks of the former temple turned casino in the distance. And as you're going down the street, you figure you've got 5 or 6 hours of sun's light left. maybe. 80 spots first. Sisk spots next. See a group of individuals walking down the street away from you, kind of down a diagonal street, being given a wide berth. There's 8 of them, perhaps. They're all wearing black, red, and white garb. Very noticeably, for the both of you, Nostromo, the clerical inquisitors. And at their head, you see Leighton. And you see him wearing a headband again. But 80, with her 1T passive perception, notices this time.
It's 21 now, just
21.
In case,
Oh, sorry.
So you know. Yeah.
Notices this time, however, that Leighton's eyes no longer have that luminescent glow that they had before when he was wearing the headband. Give me an insight check, please.
Sure.
Both of us, or just 80?
You could do it too, and I'll actually say you have advantage on it because it's Leighton, so you could do a straight roll.
Straight roll. Another 13 on the dice.
It's only 12 for me.
So 16 for Sisk.
16 again, yeah.
That's enough for Sisk to notice that Leighton's movements are not as stilted this time. They aren't as... They're more normal, we'll call it. And you're fairly certain, especially after you depart here and maybe can exchange notes with one another, you're fairly certain that Leighton has mustered an illusion that they still have the headband on. And you can see him leading the Nostromo away from you and towards the casino. Given what 80 knows about Cadreus and his distaste for those within the clergy, you can only imagine what kind of confrontation might be about to happen. Gives you a little bit more incentive to move more rapidly away. Eventually you make it to one of the nearby canals. You catch a gondola easily enough. Phelan has a little bit of trouble getting in. Their cloak falls backwards, which actually works to your benefit because the gentleman at the helm of, or at the rear, I guess, of the gondola was getting a little nervous as they were getting on, but once they see Phelan's ears and they're not marked or broken or anything of the sort, nothing wrong. So that gives him puts him a little bit more at ease. But Phelan quickly pulls the cloak back up, nonetheless. And you make your way towards the edges of the city. It's going to be a long trek back to the farm. And in the meantime, we're going to backtrack just a little bit. Ian, let's talk about Bren returning to his farm, if we may. Having just left your companions as they were about to enter into the sewers, you seemed a little bit stressed. Certainly warrantedly so. Stressed. After the confrontation and conflict and having turned into a shark and eaten someone. How's Bren doing as he starts making his own way out of the city so many hours before the rest of his companions?
As soon as he gets out of the sewers and he kind of walks, I'd say like maybe a good 30 or 50 feet away from where the entrance or exit, whatever it is, Like, he leans up against the near building and he just stands there and hand over head and just breathing heavily, kind of taking a moment to gather himself. And he's very frustrated in this immediate moment. He's it's a mixture of worry, concern, frustration, a little bit of doubt. I think the doubt is a little bit more stronger, or is stronger now than potentially when the last conversation he had with everybody in the sewers. And then he kind of mentally gathers himself, even though physically he is in so much pain. He keeps trekking towards the direction of his farm, avoiding direct eye contact with anybody. If there's any back roads that he can take, he will, because again, he is physically in pain, so he doesn't want to cause any attention. But right before where he would take a gondola to, go part of the way or most of the way, he stops and he looks at the shallow river, and he looks around, and as soon as he doesn't see anybody, he just falls into the river. For a split second, he does have a moment to where, and it's not deep, but it's deep enough to potentially let the current take you in a direction. And for a small second, he decides, like, maybe for a bit, just to feel weightlessness, just to feel a manufactured notion of stress relief. And then before either whatever current takes or it gets too deep where he hits the bottom, he wild shapes into not a shark, but just a large Ysterran fish. And he makes his way through the channel, heading in the direction of his farm before he'll need to come out of the channel and make the rest of the way on foot. I think in that moment, for the first time in some weeks, his mind is completely empty. Thoughts of a fish. We're just swimming. And if a fish could smile for a little second, he does. Because he's not worried about somebody chasing him. He's not worried about worrying about someone.
Yeah.
And as quickly as that thought enters his mind, it's gone again, because now he remembers Violet and that she's still out there. And then he remembers the twins and that they're stuck in the sewer. And then, what am I doing? And as soon as that thought of what am I doing happens is when he gets to the point to where he'll need to break from the channel and continue on foot. And he continues to do so, pushing forward, just waiting to get over that hill so that he can get to the next hill, and then down the path, and then past that sign, which leads to my fence, that leads to my front door, which brings me to my chair. And it's just keeping those mental milestones of what comes next and what's coming after and what you'll see. And when you see this is what's going to happen, is when he realizes that he's standing at the front of his gate of his farm. And for some reason, that entire time he was looking down at the ground, holding his arm. And when he almost runs into one of his posts, that's when he looks up and he just sees the visage of his farm.
The suns have fallen by the time you make it back to the farm. You're able to pretty much swim out of the city. And it isn't until you're basically in the river and heading upstream, which is a little bit harder, that you have to climb your way out and hoof it on foot back to the farm. By the time you get there, with the suns setting in the distance, and you see the silhouette of the farm, and you go inside and you crash down into your chair, Bren's pretty exhausted.
Extremely.
Not just the mental fatigue of everything that you just described, but also the physical fatigue of having to do it. and everything that happened before then.
When Bryn finally sits down in his chair, he leans back, he puts his head against the upper part of it, and he can feel a little bit of scurry, and his eyes are closed, and the trio of Almirage jumps up on his lap. They haven't seen him in a while, and they have this very worrying but like welcoming look home. And then that smile happens again, and he kind of shifts in his chair, and they kind of move around, and now that they can see that he's okay, they scurry off. And when he shifts in his chair, a very strong pain on his leg starts to throb. He puts his hand down by his thigh to check it, and the reason why he has a pain is because although he is severely bruised there, something is digging into it, and he reaches in to see what it is, and he pulls out his medallion. It was digging into his side when he sat down in his chair, and he pulls it out, and he looks at it, and it's still gleaming. There's no dent, there's no scratch. With all the damage that he took, this took no damage. And it's as if when he took it out of his pocket, it was just adding an extra layer of shine. And the small glint of it focuses onto his face. And with anyone else who would hold this would see it as a badge of honor, but that small glint from the shine, it feels like it's mocking him. And then his grasp around the medallion tightens. And then he sits there and he goes to himself and he goes, This is ridiculous. What am I doing? And internally he thinks to himself, all of the interactions, all of the moments, all of the conversations, good, bad, in between, arguments, and he's sitting there going, no, what am I doing here? What? They're not looking for me. And even if they did, I wouldn't be who they were looking for because of this. It'd be so easy. It'd be so easy to just ignore this, lock my door, and go back to my life. And his grasp around the medallion loosens, and then it tightens again. And now there's a strong indent in his hand from how tightly he's grasping his medallion. And the frustration and the concern turns into anger. And he doesn't know where it's coming from, and he definitely doesn't know where it's being directed to. Is he mad at the twins? Is he mad at Violet? What is Sisk doing here? And then he sits there and he goes, it's me. All of that frustration, all of that anger, all of that concern immediately turns inward, because up until this time, anything that happened to Bryn was because of me. And without knowing if this is justifiable, his hand tightens around the medallion again, and his hand grows and it forms into a large claw, and he turns into his bestial self. And all of a sudden, without even realizing it, wild shapes back into that bear. But this bear is visceral. It's shaggy. Its teeth are dripping with just viscous drool and anger. And the light in his eyes, it's not that golden welcoming Bryn bear. It is just fueled with rage and intent. And he climbs out of his chair in full bear form and unleashes all of his anger within his own home, his only thing that he has in the world, connection to whatever he had before the girls, the memory of his dad, the memory of the time before, which is slowly fading. And he just unleashes weeks, months, years at this point of complete, utter frustration, and just lays this single room into complete disarray. And if anybody outside of the farm, no matter how far they are in this outer land, all they can hear is just this loud, feral, almost unearthly growl and roars, which seem so far like they're coming from the siltwood, but also seem right on your neck, and you can feel the mental vibration just from hearing the sound, to which a learned person would realize that this is not just anger, but it's sorrow. And that's where we're at with Brent.
As this rage fills Bren and he devastates this room that he knows to be his home, all of his animals flee. The Almirage in particular, they flee. He doesn't see it because of the rage, but outside, what had been those coming back home for some food and the like, they scurry away to various hovels and dens to try to find a safe place. They're scared. This isn't something that any of them have experienced before either, as much as it is also new for Bren. There's a point at which Bren isn't even aware of what he's doing in any capacity. He is completely given over to the animal that he is shape changed into, and knows nothing but rage. At one point, he crashes into one of the walls and rocks the entire homestead. And a portion of the ceiling collapses inward. It slams into his bare form, causing him a bit of injury, but that doesn't matter. It just makes him rage more. And he looks up into the sky, and you can see above you the light of all three moons cascading in. And this otherworldly roar shrieks into the heavens. And as the roar finishes, he begins to breathe heavily. The rage subsides enough where conscious thought starts entering his mind once again. He doesn't know how, he doesn't know why, but instinctually, he knows stop. He knows that someone deep within him is pleading with him to stop. His own inner voice, desperate for him to find the control that he needs to have. Find the hope that he needs to have for what comes next. And as Bren stares into the heavens, sees the light of the moons cascading off of the various clouds moving by, there's a moment where he sees a certain array of stars lighting up, glimmering a tiny bit more than they ever have for him before. And he feels a sense of solace and tranquility from that. And for the briefest of moments, he thinks he hears the soft growl of a paternal bear, pleading with a kind of reverence and understanding, as a father might, trying to calm their child. And that's enough to take Bren out of his bear form without him realizing it. And he stands in the chaos that he just wrought, looking around the room at the destruction. And off in the corner, where the kitchen is, he sees a window, one of the panes broken out from something that he flung across the room into it. He sees 3 little tiny heads poking up, their eyes illuminated, staring back at him.
I'm sorry. Here, come. He gets whatever food that he can, and he's like, I'm sorry. Come here. And he scoops him up, and he's got all 3 of them in there, and he's like, I can always count on you 3. You won't have to see that again. And he gives them little pecks on the top of their head, and then sinks into his chair and like wraps his arms around them just enough. And he just sits there. He just sits there with the 3 of them. He's just like, oh God. It's like his little support, Almirage. All 3 of them.
Bren falls asleep.
Yeah.
A few hours later, the 4 of the rest of you make your way to the farm. You can see from the outside that there is no light on. And 80 can tell that something is not quite right. You take precaution and sneak your way up. And you glance inside and you see Bren asleep in his chair. The 3 Almirage kind of tucked up onto his shoulders. And in the farmhouse, just completely devastated inside.
I think, I don't think she would knock, seeing all of that. I think 80 would just open the door. Bren?
Yeah.
Is everything okay?
It squeezes the Almirage. It is now. Still eyes closed, like not even like.
What emotion do I get from Bren right now?
Exhaustion.
Yeah.
Embarrassment. Mainly embarrassment now. Yeah. If you were to look at him before he realized you're in there, very deep sadness. Not as it was before, but in his actions of late.
Yeah.
But now it's more so embarrassed.
She'll hold the door open for the rest of them, and we made it.
Yeah. Did anybody follow you? Did you have a hard time getting out?
No. Leighton actually did help. We saw the group of Nostromo, and he was leading them away. So we made it just fine.
Okay.
She'll start, like, very casually picking up items of import and sort of putting things where they go without saying anything.
You don't have to do that.
I know.
I'll do it.
She'll just keep going.
At this point, Brent's just like, that's fine. Still not getting up from his chair. I assume everybody else is walking in, and he goes, if it's still there, there's a small cupboard in the kitchen. There's extra blankets, bedrolls, things like that. Get what you need. Clear a spot. Don't talk to me. And then, like, puts his head back again.
80 will go to the cupboard and gather some things and start doling them out to people. And as she sort of passes by again, she'll just put her hand on Bren's shoulder just for a moment and then carry on with what she's doing.
Mira's gonna make a spot for Phelan to lay down and then go help 80 clean up.
Phelan collapses pretty hard in to the spot, despite the, it not being overly comfortable. Doesn't really matter given their state and how exhausted they are. As you are doing that, they kind of lean over and ask Mira, I'm assuming that this place is not normally... Is this all right?
Not, yeah, yep, it's fine.
Right. They just kind of lower themselves down to the floor.
And as you guys are cleaning,
as they do that, they also give Mira's hand a squeeze.
No, I'm sorry. Okay. Squeeze the hand.
We'll keep watch. You're safe. Get some sleep.
All right. Go ahead, Ian.
When you guys clean up, you notice that the medallion's on the floor. That was it. Sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting. Yeah.
I think Mira's gonna pick it up and just look at it for a second and then wrap it up in a cloth and set it on a shelf or like on the kitchen counter where it's visible but not obtrusive.
I'm really curious. What is this medallion of? Sisk is uncomfortable with the amount of anger.
Sisk knows the medallion. This is the clerical medallion from Bren passing a virtue trial. What was the virtue? Mm-hmm. Honesty? Was that the virtue trial?
Yeah, it was honesty.
Damn.
So Sisk knows this medallion very well. And I think Sisk also understands how upsetting it is that Bren has the medallion. That's probably a conversation they had once.
I don't think 80 would say anything else. I think just get things together and allow Bren some space.
All right.
I think Mira would make a little bit of tea and give some to Sisk first, because Sisk is often the one that is caring for us. And so wanting to do something small and kind for Sisk.
He's greatly appreciated. They're tired. They're going to take a short rest mechanically right now, but
Hopefully a long rest.
hopefully, but who knows if we'll get the pleasure.
As you all settled in, trying not to disturb Bren, you all do find your spots. I'm curious where those spots are found. If anyone tries to perhaps sleep outside or go to, this isn't a one room place. Like there's a couple of adjacent rooms. So where does everyone sleep? And does anyone, I mean, you guys are all pretty exhausted, so it's going to be hard for you to keep watches if you do. What does everyone do?
Mira would try to keep watch. I think she would sit up against a wall fairly close to Phelan with an eye toward the door and just kind of make sure that everyone else is as comfortable as possible, and will sleep first, and she'll try to keep watch.
Okay. I know that Bren just falls asleep in his chair once again. What about Sisk and 80?
Sisk has an alarm spell, which they have been generally using, I would say. So would set that up just in case. It'll wake them up if a tiny or larger creature gets in a 20-foot cube. And I think they spend a while, I imagine kind of like a dog or a cat trying to get comfortable. So like they're moving from spot to spot, and then they end up, I think, sneaking up to where Bren is sleeping in his chair, sits on the floor and like lies back against the chair and falls asleep.
Nice. And 80?
I think 80 tries to busy herself a little bit as Mira is getting ready for bed, because I don't think she knows what to do. Like, she doesn't know where she stands. I think right now all she wants to do is to like snuggle up next to her sister because she feels like utter shit, but she's also like, okay, things are a little bit complicated right now. Okay, so she's staying up. All right. Well,
What are you doing?
I think I'm gonna sleep outside.
No, you're not gonna sleep outside. No,
I think I'm gonna sleep outside. It's a nice night. You know, we've been cooped up in the sewers.
Don't be an idiot.
I like the outdoors.
We're gonna have days of sleeping outdoors. This is your chance to sleep under a roof.
Yeah, well, it's only part of a roof.
Well, this corner right here is fine. Get over here.
Could one of you please make a decision?
Sorry, Bren.
You're making Bren mad. Get over here.
I'll go over there. I think she'd still like in that main space where everybody is, but maybe off just a little bit. I don't know. She feels weird about everything, so I think she's gonna just settle in then.
She finds her own little corner to lean up against with bedrolls and blankets and pillows and such. Morning does come. The sun's rise. All of you awaken perhaps a couple of hours after sun's rise. It's also worth mentioning that when Mira awakens, she finds herself leaning on Phelan's shoulder, them having moved over to lean against the same wall, and allowed her to fall into their shoulder. They're awake first. because they fell asleep pretty much instantaneously. And the rest of you do awaken just fine.
Alive another day. Woo-hoo.
We made it.
That's just how Sis wakes up. Alive!
Bren, are you still crabby?
I'm fine. I feel better. This chair is bear proof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good craftsmanship.
That's what happened in here. Was a bear got in?
Yeah, a bear did get in. Sorry. Why am I apologizing for that? I'm not. It's just it was a rough 30 minutes.
You did all this in 30 minutes?
80 starts projecting feelings at Mira. Like, could you please be fucking cool about this?
Like, Brent looks down. I'm pretty sure, like, whatever he was wearing is, or at least his shirt is torn. He goes, "I'm gonna change," and then just like walks into another room.
You can see that Phelan is actually, after the long rest, feeling significantly better. Still, not 100%, but they're moving a lot less stiffly and seem to be toughing through things, so to speak. I'm assuming Sisk goes into the kitchen and starts trying to figure out any foodstuffs that they can gather up, and Phelan joins them as they're doing that. Bren comes back out a short bit later, having changed into probably almost identical clothing as before, but this clothing is clean and not, torn up at all. But yeah.
50 of the same outfit. All right. Okay. Long and short of it. Came back here. I had a moment. This happened. But I'm past that now. Now we need to focus on the next thing. What's on the list? So we killed that guy. We got your partner back. And like he's like really gonna say that out there. Just we got your partner back. You guys have your things? You have your things. Okay, perfect. So the only other things that I remember outside of leaving is waiting for Violet, which hopefully that's not too long. Checking on your brother and apparently his terrible wife. And then
they're not married.
Phelan and Mira both say that simultaneously.
Your brother's not married? I thought they were married. Then they've
only been together like 3 months.
I don't know that. I just got here.
Oh, all right.
If you would participate in Truth or Dare, you would know these things.
Okay, hey, Truth or Dare?
Dare.
I dare you to tell me, what are you going to do about your schooling?
That can wait for several more weeks.
Let's play one more time. Truth or Dare? I'm having a great time.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please.
It's going to take a bit to get through the siltwood and up the mountain, right?
It is, yes.
Right. I don't have any spare clothes.
And it's back room in there if you want to go see what's there.
Perfect. Maybe we just gather up some things and start walking, because we've got a lot of time to discuss Truth or Dare on the journey, right?
We can, and that was one of the things that was on my list. But you two, looking at the both of them, you still have a lot of things that you are left unfinished. We can leave. We can definitely leave. But that means that's it.
Are you?
I thought you were getting close. Do you need help?
Oh no. I'm sorry. I'm just making sure you weren't trying to. And they just leave.
You're good. Really nice. I don't understand. Anyway, so during the time when I was doing sprints back and forth getting things, spoke to Tamara during that time. I got us a wagon, right? So we can put stuff in it. We're going to need to, right? We're going to have to haul things. So there is a wagon if I haven't destroyed it, which I shouldn't have. So we have that, right? We have the bag to where we can put extra things in. So carrying is not a problem. Leaving is not a problem. We can go now. But if we go now, that's it. No parents, no talking to your brother, no Babino, no school. We cut out, we leave. That's it. That was the plan, right? That's what we scurried out of your apartment, right? Before we went on a heist in a casino.
Yes and no. We need to go back to the ship. Phelan needs to see it, see what they can do. But we might need more supplies. I think we have to. I have to come back at least once more.
Right.
I can't leave without wrapping up a few loose ends.
That's what I was getting at. So, one or two things we can do. Phelan stays here with me. We're way out of the way. Him and I will talk boat. If there's time in between, I'll take him. We'll come back. We'll see what we can do about that while you guys handle that. Or we'll leave it up to the descendants, and then we just bug out. Because at this point, everyone, looking at the empirical everyone, you out there too, we can't keep causing ruckuses within the city. We're not going to have easier opportunities, which they weren't that easy, to cover things up before fingers are pointed at us. Also, the Nostromos somewhere, I don't know, they were 18 days and then 8 days looking at Sisk, and now 5 minutes, we don't know. So going in and out and in and out, it's more danger for you. I'm more than happy to sit myself here and wait.
I think it's going to be a bit of time before the ship is fixed, and we don't have near the supplies that we need. We need the gold that was on the ship.
Oh, I have that.
You didn't.
All of it?
You didn't grab all of it. You left. No, you left. You only grabbed some of it. You left almost the entirety of it back there. You only grabbed some of it.
Well, when I was doing the trips back and forth, like I was pushing things up or bringing things up there and bringing some back.
That's
so
true.
I may not have all of it, but I have a good sum of it.
Yeah.
So like I have
but
that.
there's still. She is right though. There is still going to be more trips to and from the ship to ferry supplies and such. Not to mention the time for the repairs and whatnot. And as Andrew is politely pointing out in chat, you also need to. You're going to need to disassemble the barge and get that hauled up there as well.
So I guess I say that to say this. I get it. It's not going to be easy for you guys to disconnect, but you're going to have to start cutting strings because we can't wait any longer. No more Nestor situations, no more school things. Like these things need to start getting done, or we need to cut it and then focus on getting what we need to get out of here. The longer we do this, the more danger we're in.
You're right. I mean, I think we have to go up and see what we have and what we need, and then we can keep going. But the plan is to cut all the ties. We can do that.
Do you want to, though?
Yeah.
Mira. Do you want to, though?
I go where she goes. No matter what.
You both know you don't have to do this, right? This is not something that just because
Here's the
of
thing,
me
Sisk
or
promised
Violet,
to show us the world, and I want to take them up on that because it sounds fun.
But is new lands enough to disconnect you from what you've known your entire lives? Think about it. There's a larger risk and opportunity. And yes, it could be amazing, the things that we could see. But the
Or
level
we
of
could
danger,
get hit by a giant bird and flung out of the sky. That's we know.
yeah, or you could be here and live your life.
It's not a
Friend.
life.
I know what my life looks like here. I know. For years and years and years, I know. But it's not a life. It's this. So, yeah. It's going to be hard, but we have a lot of lives to live, and we can make roots somewhere else. We'll be okay.
Okay. That's fine. I'm completely convinced. I just want to
Thank
make
you
sure
for
that.
caring enough to ask.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Brandy, do you want to leave?
Me?
I can take these 3 bozos and we can set sail. But what about you? What about the Almarouche? Raj? Your little friends.
Almirage.
Yeah.
They're coming with. We
Okay,
already
good.
discussed that. Yeah, they're coming with. I do want to leave. I do want to leave for the simple fact that and he looks at the hole in the ceiling and he goes, yeah, I need to leave. Wow.
Maybe not immediately, but I think 80 would find a piece of wood that's either fallen from the ceiling or was broken somehow last night and bring it to you, Bren. And I know that we're taking apart Violet's boat and making it a part of our airship. You could bring a part of your home. It doesn't have to just be left here.
No, that's extremely kind of you to say, but no, I am bringing a part of my home, and may not be the wood from my house, but this needs to stay here, and people need to remember my dad. No.
When we're traveling up there, you could tell us about him if you want. And there's more people to remember him.
Maybe on a game of truth or dare.
Okay.
As soon as you say that, the door opens. Phelan comes out. He's wearing a new shirt that is easily way too large for him. And he says, "Please tell me we're not playing truth or dare again."
Damn it, Phelan, you look good. Don't they look good?
You're muted.
What? Silence.
80,
Speechless. She's speechless.
can you fix that? And you've got mending, right? You can make it.
Yeah. Phelan, take your
Fit.
shirt off right now.
That is
What?
not what
Wait.
I meant.
What?
I'll fix it.
Absolutely
I'll cut
not what I
it.
meant.
What's wrong
Can
with
we
that
ple-
shirt?
Can we just leave? You all gathered
Okay.
the supplies and everything, right? And he looks between the other three and then realizes they didn't. And then they look at Sisk. Supplies, right?
They're on the way. At some point,
I love Sisk.
We don't have. I don't think we have a date. We should follow up on that.
No. I'm talking about whatever we need to actually make it up the mountain, right?
Oh no! I only got snacks earlier.
No, there's stuff. It's a farm, you guys. Like, I have things. Like, we have the things that you slept on are coming with us. Like, yes, there are things that we can just pack up.
Right.
We can go.
Phelan just goes over and starts rolling up the bedroll that they slept on for part of the night.
It's almost like they didn't get their throat cut the day before. They're ready to go.
You don't have to remind me.
Sorry.
That's right. So.
Okay. Yeah.
If you will permit me a little narrative control here, you all spend the time that you need to gather. Galahad's over here pushing buttons on my iPad, making stuff appear in chat. You all gather some supplies that you will need for making the trip. Bren, you almost feel like you're saying goodbye in some ways, but you know deep in your heart that you're going to be back. You're going to come back at least once or twice more. Your notions, everything you had talked about with the twins earlier, while true, does belie some of the necessities that are going to happen. But first you have to make your way back to the ship, and your path back to the Aurora starts with venturing into the Siltwood. The dense and misty forest kind of closes in around you, the twisted trees and undergrowth, almost like a labyrinth, making every step fairly dangerous. The air is thick with damp earth aromas and the constant sense of unseen creatures in the distance. For most of you, this is normal. You've experienced this before. For Phelan and Sisk, this journey is new. There's an eerie tension that is heightened by the occasional rustling of leaves or the movement in the shadows. But for the rest of you, since you've traveled these paths before, you move with a little bit more confident familiarity, and you're able to guide everyone through the dangerous parts and along at least what you hope to be the most efficient routes. Eventually, you do find yourselves emerging from the forest, and you are greeted with the imposing sight once more of the Stormsong Mountains. Its jagged peaks looming above you. They're snow-capped and often hidden by swirling clouds, hiding the dangers that lie in those peaks. And while the ascent is arduous, the rocky terrain demanding all of your strength and determination, you do make your way slowly. The wind howls through the narrow passages, the biting chill cutting through your clothes. But despite all of this, you press on. And as you reach the summit, the breathtaking vista unfolds around you. The landscapes of the Imperium, so far distant, stretching all the way to the horizon. You can see Orlustran, you can see the Siltwood. All of it from this distance seems so wonderful, so peaceful. And yet, for most of you, you know that there is a darkness there. Darkness that you seek to escape from. And so with some renewed vigor, You continue your ascent until you find, once again, the Aurora's Explorer. The airship that offers an escape. A way out of this place. A way to see the far reaches of the world. Still quite damaged, you are greeted once again by your good friend Tig, who has dutifully been cleaning up as much as they possibly can. Mira notices pretty quickly that there are several parts of the ship that have continued to be mended as they had been when she had been here before, when she had realized later that the ship seems to have some ability to almost reconstruct itself. But the significant damage is still there. The gaping hole in the side, one of the mangled wings, the glass cracked in so many different spots, the sail shredded, and portion of its mast broken in a couple of places. All of the marred and mangled rigging, all of that is still there, as well as the grave sites of the former crew, all still present. As much as Tig has tried to organize, as much as they have gathered the various supplies that they could and brought everything up the mountain as much as they could, there's still so much to do. Phelan takes it in with a great deal of awe and wonder. The gaping hole is tremendous to them, but they can't help feel that same level of optimism that you feel as they see the ship floating about a foot or so from the stone. Whatever you had done to the engine previously seems to be holding, at least for now. There's no more torrential hurricane magical storm from within the ship. And 80 can feel a sense of rest, peace now as she walks up to this place. Sisk recognizes very clearly the ingenuity here, the invention that comes from Insaris. They know quite clearly that what they're looking at is from a place probably not too far distant from their home. They've seen this kind of construction, albeit not quite as amazing as this. It feels right to them. It feels normal. It's the closest thing that they have felt like home in almost an age for them. You show them around, Phelan and Sisk. They start considering all of the things that need to be done. It's interesting because Phelan and Sisk seem to develop a very quick repartee with one another, both engineers in a way, it seems. Phelan seemingly quite adroit, at least if their words are to be believed, at understanding the curves and the flow of the ship, the damage to the wood, what parts need to be replaced, what parts can just be repaired. Sisk, when they enter the engine room, it's baffling to them. But with each passing moment, they see a different piece, and they're awed and inspired by what they see, and they seem to be developing an understanding of it. The technology that is involved in the Arcanic engine is unlike anything that they've seen in many ways, but there's a familiarity to it. The engineering, the invention, the ingenuity, these are concepts that are not new to Sisk. They find themselves fiddling with their multi-tool frequently and analyzing the various parts, seeing what's damaged, applying some skill to various things, and seeing what happens. And for Mira, there might be the briefest moment of jealousy, and that it seems to come natural to Sisk, until they understand that this came from where Sisk comes from. This isn't alien to them like it is for her. And Balin provides a little bit of a distraction as well, as you spend a couple of days considering everything that you might need, everything that has to be done. But eventually, all of you gather up, and you have a good sense of things now. Balin thinks that depending upon how long it takes to get the supplies up, and if they can get maybe another pair of hands to assist, it might only be a few weeks to repair the damage to the hull. You would need a proper metalsmith, of course, to deal with the wing, but Sisk thinks that they might be able to patch it, at least for now. And it seems to fall then to what supplies you might need for the journey, as well as what scrolls and magical spells that you can get from Occam to help bolster the engine. The sails you had already arranged, of course, and Tamara is certainly not a person to ever not come through when needed. So as you start nearing a few days hence, that you know that the parents' Tavish would be arriving, you have a better sense of what you need. You know now, and you think you've got a good handle on it. You start to consider what to do next. You know that you're a few days out, probably 4 or 5 from the parents arriving. You know that a few days past that is when Mira has to face her situation with Occam. So by the time you make it back down to Orlustran, you have to deal with that. But once that is done, all about the airship, isn't it? Wrapping up the loose ends, as was described before. Whatever difficulties you might have thought you needed to face, whatever questions you thought you needed to have answers for Bren, maybe for 82, certainly for the rest, you have those answers now. You have a decent plan now. And you have people willing to help. You get some sendings from Violet over these days, from the journey and up. They're a little bit cagey. They say that they got the medal, and they found some surprises. And they're on their way back. They're moving faster to come home. They don't know exactly when they'll get here, but they're coming home as fast as they can. And you notice that they keep saying, "We are coming." When Mira presses what "we" might mean, assuming that she does, the responses are cagey once again. It's just "we." Is there anything in particular that you would do or gather before returning to Orlustran to deal with what you need?
Oh, I want to, if I see Mira watching me while I'm tinkering with stuff, I'm definitely going to draw her in and teach her if she's interested. and like share. I'm like, this kind of doohickey looks like something else that does this function, and like talking out my process of how I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, the two of you definitely are able to work together very significantly faster than what Mira was doing on her own. So
I think 80 would find a lot of peace in helping Tig clean and organize and just have a little bit more quiet, like emotional quiet around Tig compared to everyone else. So I think that's how she would feel useful, is by doing all of that.
sure. You and Tig develop a bit of kind of a language. They don't talk, and you can't mentally link with them like Bren can. But there's signals through hands and gestures and just movements, and you start to kind of feel each other in a way as you work together over those couple of days. What about Mira?
Mira's gonna spend a bunch of time with Sisk, just learning as much as she can and like scribbling her own notes and just trying to figure out more what makes the ship tick. And before we leave, she's just gonna like sneak back down to the engine and put her hand on the wall and just whisper to it, "We're gonna fix you up. We'll get you back in the sky."
Adi doesn't know why, but at some point, she feels almost a sense of joy in a way. Never can explain it. But yeah. What about Bren?
Bren tries to spend time in the captain's quarters of just like gathering more information as best as he can, because he can't really read what it is, but like looking at the maps and just kind of getting the feel of who the people were as best as he can, and of course just helping clean up.
Sure. You eventually do realize that you are on a bit of a time crunch if you're trying to make it back to Orlustrin before Adi and Mira's parents arrive. So you say your goodbyes to Tig, who you know can't leave too far from the ship. Phelan actually asks to stay. They'll be back in a few additional days, but they want to spend a little bit more time figuring out, taking certain measurements of the ship and have a good sense of everything that they're going to need to bring back up. They'll only be a few days behind you, and to be perfectly honest, they could use a couple of extra days of just being here as opposed to making their way back down the mountain. Even with your help, they're still suffering a bit, and they could use a few more long rests, so to speak, especially if they can do it on cot or hammock inside the ship. So they stay behind. There's an awkwardness as they ask all of these things, though. It's almost like they are asking for permission to stay behind, and they're not really sure who to ask.
I think we all kind of like just collectively look at Mira like,
Don't make me come rescue you again.
as long as no gangsters and mobsters decide to try to track me down in a place that no one knows exists, I think I'll be fine.
Listen, the trip here was fairly easy. There are also bog hags and manticores and griffins and...
They just walk up to you and place a hand on each of your shoulders. I'll be fine.
Okay.
I'll only be a couple of days behind you, I promise. It's just a lot to take measurements of. And... yeah.
As long as you promise.
I do.
And Mira's gonna kiss them.
They return the kiss. As that ends, there's a relief, and like 80, of course, can feel the emotions of all of it. There's a relief and a joy in it. You can also tell that they're a little bit flushed, but they clear their throat, as painful as that might be, and look up at 80 and say, "And I'm not doing this because I'm avoiding your parents." And you know that they're lying.
Yeah.
I'll only be a couple of days behind you, I promise. You all head out. As you make your way back to Orlustran, you follow pretty much the same path as before. You have to make a couple of detours, some slight variations because of the dangers and the threats that exist here. But you do manage to go back. You stop at the farm first? Or do you go straight to the city?
I think the second they see the edge of the city, 80 is so fucking antsy and just has to keep going because, oh, yeah, you just have to keep going.
Are we all going to talk to your parents? Like, is that all of us? Like an all of us thing?
You don't have to.
Okay.
I also have a question about that, because if we go, how are you introducing us? Just my close friend?
Well,
Is that what you called Phelan, a close friend? So they know that's code for...
Let's not even get into that.
Close.
80 and I don't even know what we're going to say to them. And it's just, I think we're going to wing it.
You have been studying at my farm because of components.
Yes.
I'm trying here.
I mean, we did. I got to know, we're friends. I got to know you in the park. And you introduced...
That's weird though, right? Like,
maybe it's a volunteer extracurricular to help
an elderly
farm.
man.
Exactly. An elderly
Elderly?
Wait, why does it always keep coming back to my age?
elderly badge on my Girl Scout scarf.
Hang on,
Fine.
let's
If
find
it'll-
that
if it'll
picture of
smooth
Ren
things
again.
over.
He doesn't look that elderly, mind you. Okay, now.
Look at this man. Look at this. Look at this guy.
Mom has memorized the syllabus. She would not fall for that.
That's probably true.
You've just been helping on my farm. That's it.
Great. Yep.
We could
Yeah.
just tell them everything, immediately.
I mean, that's what you've been doing so far. So
Yeah.
You're
We keep
not-
quit telling people we killed people.
unprompted, and like usually, when you
Just
you
like-
are prompted, you should say no anyway.
Okay,
but
listen, there's a lot of stress, and I sometimes just can't stop. It just comes out, and I can't stop it.
Recite a
It's all
manuscript
people
or something.
that
Don't tell.
but it's all people that we trust, right? It's fine.
We don't know that with murder. Sorry, it's like when you keep bringing people to my farm. It's like, just stop.
Listen, that was not my idea. I think
know.
that was 80's fault.
It was.
What?
Wasn't it originally Violet's fault?
Yeah.
It was Violet's
they're
fault.
They're not here to defend themselves, so we're not going to do that.
Look, if you want to come back with us, you can. I don't know what this is going to be like with our parents. I don't know any of it. So it's entirely up to you.
Question. Would you like for us to go? Do you think it would be helpful? Okay, I'll go.
I don't know.
You're
the one that's in trouble, so.
I'm not, and we don't know that.
Are you going to meet them at a restaurant? Maybe me and Bren can sit at a table across.
Yeah. We could just like pretend, and then if things.
What if you like do your thing, go about your business, and like maybe get some more supplies, and I can send you another squirrel if we need help?
Don't send animals. It's weird because they whisper.
No, it's
the way that
cute.
you do it.
But it's so cute.
Okay.
I think I'd like that. Can I try that?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Right, you can send it to Sisk. You could do that.
Great.
We'll go shopping.
Maybe see Tamara.
Oh, look at that! My stove is on. Left it on this whole time.
Weeks.
Or
good.
here's the thing: you could just be a bear, and we could have trained you.
Ah!
Mira?
I can turn into other things. Wild shapes into a dog. Wild shapes into a parrot. Wild shapes into a shark. Freaks out. Turns back into bread.
It's just a suggestion. I don't know. You seem to like being a bear in the city, so.
Because that's funny. That guy freaked out. He thinks there's an epidemic. I don't know. Listen, if you want to, sorry, if you, that poor guy, he's freaking out.
As you get back into Orlustran, you do find that is dipped to like page 5 of the news sheets. It's not on the front page anymore, though. So
You gotta bring it back.
I gotta make an appearance. It's time to do it. It's more so if you think it would be nice if we're there, we'll go. But if you feel as though you guys got it, we got stuff to do too. Like it's up to you.
I guess it might be best if we just reach out if we need you, at least initially.
Yeah.
When we figure out what we're in for.
Oh, okay. We won't be too far.
Thank you.
As you return to Orlustran, you make it back into the city on the 15th of Treeoak. You receive a sending, Mira, a floating envelope that flies at rapid magical speeds up to you, explodes in a puff of paper and unfolds in front of you. It's a letter, once again, from your mother, indicating that they are 2 days out. And we'll see you very soon. They have not visited since you all came to Orlustran, right?
No, so I'll spend 2 days cleaning our apartment.
Well, they indicate that they will go to Burke's, and we can arrange and figure out how to meet up from there and discuss things. But that's the letter that Mira gets. As you enter back into the city, however, and spot those news sheets, you catch wind very quickly of the reason that the bear infestation is no longer on the front pages of the sheets. The Nastroma are in town. And there's some tense occurrences taking place between those that manage and govern the city, those that have faith in the city, and those that might be attempting to hide things. Given your previous experiences and what you know of the situation, you decide that the apartment might not be the best place for you. Thankfully, Sisk has a couple of different safe houses that they have used in the past, and you're able to take those to hunker down in, or at least a little bit until you get the lay of the land. You come to learn that the Nostromo are on a hunt. Several individuals have been caught out and identified as cursed. There have been a few marched through the streets and given their tags, letting everyone know that they do not belong. Caused a bit of a roil within the city. Most people don't really care one way or another about the cursed, even if it is something that they find distasteful. But it's not usually something that they have to face. And the political landscape in Orlustran is chaotic at best right now. Questions of whether the Nostromo are doing the work of the Ascendant or not. Questions about the clergy's influence in the situation. A few of the various religions within Orlustran, it being a major metropolitan city, have even come out vocally, indicating that the Nostromo and their inquisitorial nature do not honor the Ascendant. Strong statements, indeed. All of you know that you have tasks to do, you have supplies to gather, you have things to take care of, especially before Tavish parents arrive. And you have to do it somehow whilst avoiding the Nostromo entirely. Sisk, you spend a little bit of time looking for Leighton. You can't find him. It's kind of hard for you to get close, too close anyway, to the Nostromo themselves. But most of them that you are able to get close enough to, they seem aggressive. More aggressive than you have ever known them before. This isn't quite normal. And you are put a little bit on edge. Something is definitely amiss. So you task yourself with trying to find out what's going on. The rest of you have to decide for yourselves what's more important. The situation or getting your supplies together. I think 80 and Bren, you focus a lot on the supplies. And Mira, you know that you're the only one that currently has access to the Illuminated Heart. And while it's not quite Occam, it's still something. And you certainly don't know what's going to happen before your mother arrives. So you start to head off that way. Each of you splitting up on the promises to return back to the safe house as soon as you can, to gather what you need and hopefully learn a little bit about what's going on in the city, particularly before Phelan and before the Tavish parents arrive. On the evening of the 16th, you return to the safe house. Sisk, you first. You get there, find everything is as it should be. All of your various little tricks of the trade. No one seems to know the place. No one is infiltrated. Everything seems right. But you still feel in your heart that there's danger. 80 arrives next, having gathered some of the supplies that you know that Phelan had told you that they would need. Easily acquired, especially through some of your blacksmithing contacts. You feel pretty confident that you're going to be able to get a good chunk of things anyway. Bren, having visited Tamra, you come back. And they have indicated quite clearly that they've got the materials that you needed for the sails, along with some of the extra things that you had inquired about. And of course, they're still fascinated by all of this gold, minted from definitely a place not in the Imperium's stores and forges. And the three of you sit there until night's fall, sun's set. And Mira has not come back yet. Hours pass. High moon comes. Midnight, for those of you that don't know. And Mira still has not returned. And that's where we're going to call it tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
God damn it!